Clearsprings Ready Homes is not a public service in spirit. It is a toll booth on a state-built road. In 2019, when ministers signed a 10-year accommodation contract for people seeking asylum, they hardwired a market logic into a humanitarian function, then acted surprised when profit took precedence over care. The National Audit Office now puts the decade-long cost of these contracts at about £15 billion, more than triple the original estimate of £4.5 billion, and since 2019 the three providers have recorded around £383 million in profit. That is not a rounding error, that is a business model. Clearsprings sits at the lucrative heart of this model, and in the financial year ending 2024 it booked roughly £90 million profit, taking its 3-year total above £180 million. Its founder, Graham King, vaulted onto the Sunday Times rich list with an estimated £750 million fortune. These numbers are not drawn from a hedge fund or a tech unicorn. They flow from public money paid to shelter families who fled war, torture and gang rule, and they give the impression that these people are being housed in palatial rooms, whereas in fact they're in squalor. We are told the margins are modest and the risks are high, yet the company has been a dependable mint. The Home Affairs Committee heard that Clearsprings has £32 million ready to go back to the Home Office under a profit share clause that caps returns at just over 5%. As of spring, none of that has been transferred because the audit had not concluded. In the meantime, the profits sit and the hotels continue. If this is stewardship, it's stewardship on a very long leash. What about value for money? Hotel use was sold as an emergency stopgap. It's become a pipeline. 3/4 of current spending goes on hotels, which house only about a third of people in the system at roughly £145 per night per person, compared with about £14 for standard shared housing. The Treasury now concedes hotels will be with us for years. The daily bill has been running into the millions. This is not just wasteful, it is perverse. Temporary emergency accommodation is more profitable than longer-term housing, and the providers have admitted as much. The contract design rewards the wrong thing, and the human reality? We have testimony and imagery of dirty mattresses, meagre and sometimes inedible meals, and rationing of basics like loo paper and sanitary products. Charities say they have had to feed hungry children in London hotels. A paediatrician from UCL called it neglect if judged by ordinary parental standards. When these scenes arise under a contract that enriches a private supplier, profit becomes a moral question, not only a fiscal one. The Guardian has documented years of complaints and urgent repairs at Clearsprings sites. We're not looking at isolated slip-ups, we're looking at an incentive structure. Now to opacity. Investigations by Liberty and Open Democracy tracked £17.1 million in consultancy fees paid by Clearsprings' parent to an entity called Bespoke Strategy Solutions in the UAE. The on-record BSS in Dubai says it didn't receive the payments and has no link to the firm or its owner. Even if everything proves legal, this is public money passing through a fog. And when you're housing vulnerable people on the public purse, fog is unacceptable. It invites suspicion that the UK tax base is subsidising offshore efficiencies, while basic standards onshore are missed. Parliamentarians have called for answers, and they are right. How did we get here? Through a lazy theory of government, through Priti Patel and Suella Braverman, who treated accommodation as logistics first and human dignity as second. Hotels were politically useful as a spectacle of firmness, while the casework backlog ballooned intentionally because of the laziness of the Home Office. The public was told the system was broken. In truth, the system worked quite well for contractors whose revenues soared as ministers doubled down on hotels. And when the Home Office did test its teeth, the NAO found that deductions for underperformance since 2019 amounted to about £4 million. On multi-billion-pound contracts, that's not bite, that's a nibble. And defenders say profit is not excessive for the sector. Fine, let's apply a sector standard then. In health and social care, the modern principle is risk-sharing with transparent clawbacks. Clear social value duties, public reporting of complaints and serious incidents, and penalties that escalate fast. Here we have the opposite: weak measurement at the largest sites, slow audits, and a profit share that can be gamed by shifting costs or routing consultancy offshore. The Times reports that excess profits are owed back, but the money still hasn't arrived. That tells you where the working capital lives. The defenders also say the firms cannot control arrivals. True, they can control standards. The state can control contracts. If temporary hotel use is genuinely unavoidable, you hard cap margins on hotel nights at a very low level. You make longer term placements the only route to a reasonable return. You pay for outcomes, not occupancy. You publish menus, room inspections, and safeguarding data monthly by site, and you let local authorities bid to run non-profit regional hubs with ring-fenced funding, as many councils and NGOs have urged, and you enforce a basic rule familiar to any parent: if you would not feed it to your own children, you do not serve it to someone else's. There is a further point about political honesty. Ministers of the last government built a grandstanding deterrent strategy and then plugged its holes with hotel keys. That spectacle enriched a few companies and degraded public confidence while doing little to speed decisions or returns. The current Treasury now admits hotels will persist. The public is left paying for a Potemkin policy that did not deter, did not decide, and didn't deliver humane shelter. The money went somewhere, though. We can read the accounts. So what should happen now? First, trigger the break clauses. Renegotiate on a not-for-profit footing with time-limited service contracts for councils and housing associations, audited quarterly by the NAO and the Care Quality Commission style of inspection. Second, publish the profit share thresholds and repayment schedules with a 30-day payment rule and automatic interest thereafter. Third, ban offshore-related party payments on any contract funded by the asylum budget unless pre-cleared by HMRC and disclosed in full. Fourth, lift the ban so that after 6 months people can work if their claim is still undecided. Fewer people trapped in hotels, more taxpayers, less public cost. Fifth, set nutritional and accommodational standards that mirror school meal guidance and HMO rules and enforce them with site closures where necessary. None of this is radical. It's basic public administration. And if you're still tempted to see this as a story about boats and borders, look again. It's a story about contracts and choices, about a state that confused purchasing with governing, about a business that grew rich because our politics liked the look of buses outside hotels more than it liked the grind of casework and community housing. Clearsprings didn't invent that preference, it profited from it. The remedy is not rage at people in limbo, it is competence, scrutiny, and a moral floor below which the UK will not let services fall, no matter who provides them. The figures are not abstract. £15 billion over a decade, £383 million in profit since 2019, tens of millions in repayments still pending. £90 million profit in a single year at one supplier. Meanwhile, children are served cheap calories and mothers count sanitary pads. If a parent did that, we would call it neglect. When the state allows it and pays handsomely for the privilege, we should call it what it is: a policy failure that has become a profit centre. Somebody is lining their pockets with cash that they shouldn't be getting. It can be closed, it should be closed, it should be closed in a way that restores both fiscal sense and human dignity. And we should the break clauses exist and can be used next year, which strengthens the government's hand. If ministers want to end the hotel era, they must change the incentive. Make hotel nights a reputation and financial liability. Make community housing the only route to a sustainable return. Then the profit motive, such as it is, finally pulls in the right direction.